All right. Welcome to YouTube, where we have keyboard commandos and we have people who actually get out there and do stuff. Keyboard commandos, panel commandos. People sit in studios and do their thing, talk a lot of shit, and act like they know what they're doing. All right. Recently, some folks didn't like when I critiqued GS. They didn't like that I included a critique in what GS was critiquing. That was Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson's one of these red pill types who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but they debate. They professionally debate. And when I say professionally debate, I mean I saw them on a YouTube debate where people are donating $1,000 a shot. Uh, you know, for most channels, $100 seems like a lot of money, but in this case, yeah, $1,000 was pretty common. They had a lot of 200s and 500s, but yeah. Anyway, people were like, "Well, Finkel, since you are such a what, a keyboard commando, then you should debate Andrew Wilson." And well, I don't debate, and neither the GS review that I was doing, nor later on the Andrew Wilson review I was doing, was I debating. I was merely observing and reporting facts, and each of the facts that I reported, I backed up. It's the way it is, guys. The reason I don't debate is because a debate is nothing more than two or more people trying to convince the audience that they are right. They don't just present facts, they present a show that makes the facts appear to be correct. Uh, they use red herrings, they get off topic, they uh, use distraction. What do you call them? Red herrings, still man, straw man. Uh, and their job isn't to be right or wrong, it is to convince the audience that they are right or wrong. And quite frankly, I don't see the point in staying on a panel at midnight on a weeknight, trying to convince an audience that I'm more right or less right than the other person or people I'm debating. What I will do is observe and report. uh, For example, sometimes I can see something and uh, take the clip. Let's remove that. Let's remove that. There we go. I'll take the clip in question. In this case, I'm going to review an 8-minute clip. Uh, Load it up to a dummy YouTube channel, let it fester, and let it create a transcript. Now we have a timeline of who said what. I get it. The transcript converts audio into text and sometimes gets it wrong. But we're going to use the transcript as a guide because you notice it has timestamps relative to the clip. Actually, the one I'm reviewing is probably a couple hours long, but it's only an 8-minute piece. Load it up to a dummy YouTube account, let it fester, get the transcript, and then you can actually follow who said what in what order. Because sometimes the debater will use a red herring, a distraction of pretending like the other person interrupted, or pretending like they know what they're talking about, but they're only taking advantage because the other person doesn't have the topic that they distracted to right at the top of their head. So, uh, this is an 8-minute clip, and let's digest it. And I will be fair and accurate, and I will not lie. I do not lie. I get things wrong. Let me rephrase that. That was inaccuracy. I do lie. I'm human. I sometimes set out with the lizard brain intending to lie or actually do lie. But I'm living by a program where I do my best not to lie. If I give my second thought a chance, I'm not going to lie. If the second chance fails, I have a 10-step process where I will admit my wrong. I will promptly admit when I'm wrong, or as soon as I realize that I was wrong. All right, let's get into this 8-minute video and commentate. Is that a word, commentate? I don't know. As we go, it will take longer than 8 minutes to do that.
Ridiculous concepts, right, that they didn't actually work for is super harmful. I consider a Skittles person to be the equivalent level of delusional as someone who is a racial nationalist of some kind.
Mm-hmm. So I would say I agree with you to a certain extent. I don't take an issue with people having pride in their ethnic identity or their heritage, but it's when it becomes to the exclusion of others.
I would agree with that. It's okay to have pride in your group until that pride leads to the exclusion of others. But let's see where that is going.
Is when it becomes a problem because you can have pride, right, and then feel indifferent to somebody else. Like, I don't care what you are, but I have pride in what mine is. But that don't mean I have to oppress nobody. I have a nationalistic perspective to where I have to stomp you out, take your resources because, I then become, So the thing is, it's okay to have pride. But when it comes to like using your pride as a means to do harm to others, that is really the issue. I don't think pride in and of itself is an issue, right?
I absolutely, positively, 100% agree with this. Keep in mind, we have two known panelists on the top center, Generally Specific, and on the bottom right, Brick Jonesy. Both have repeatedly proven to be people who cannot see and hear what is right before them and understand it correctly. Generally Specific, he's using some kind of math background to make it look like maybe he's smarter than he is. I'm not sure what he means to imply about that, but let's continue.
So does the lion have to apologize for eating the lamb?
I'm not a victim.
There's a good example of the distraction. It sounds wise. Does the lion have to apologize for eating the lamb? It's very intuitive that it's just a natural course of things that the carnivore will eat the weaker, lower on the food chain herbivore. Does the lion have to apologize for being a carnivore? No, he doesn't. But what the hell does that have to do is when it becomes a problem because you can have pride and then feel indifferent to somebody else. Like it has nothing to do with what the host just said. It's a distraction, but it sounds intelligent. And his audience are like, ooh, good one, GS. It has nothing to do with it.
In GS?
No.
Absolutely,
hold on, man.
Absolutely not.
Hold
absolutely
on.
not.
You and James
I'm asking for no apologies.
I didn't mean to interrupt you while I was talking. Go ahead, dude.
Huh. I didn't mean to interrupt you while I was talking. That's kind of like the screen door on the battleship thing. It's submarine. It's kind of like the make like a tree and get out of here. It's leave. It's kind of like when GE Swag says, I'm going to break your neck and shit on it. It's, I'm going to rip your head off and shit down your neck. These people get it wrong, especially people in GS's corner. What he meant to say, or what he should have said is, you didn't mean to interrupt me while I was talking. Or maybe he meant to say, I didn't mean to talk while you're interrupting. But it really came out stupid. I didn't mean to interrupt you while I was talking. Come on, GS, do better.
Diligence.
I didn't ask for no apologies.
Can I talk now? You're not going to let me talk? You going to let me talk? Okay. I've been hearing a whole lot of victim noises coming out of the melaninly gifted side of this conversation. Yeah.
Isn't that cute? He plays the victim card. Can I talk now? You going to let me talk? And then he turns right around and accuses the black people You can say black. It's okay. The black people are playing the victim card. Here you are actually playing the victim card. Go GS.
Bro, replay the tape, man. There's a whole lot of
Well, GS, that's what I'm doing. I'm replaying the tape, and so far it's not looking too good for your side of the debate. Now, your audience may have perceived something different because you think you're clever and they're ignorant enough to fall for your false cleverness. But I am replaying the tape, and it doesn't look good for you, ma'am.
bro, replay the tape, man. There's a whole lot of the colonist, the evil colonist is good at war, and that makes me feel all shucky darn kind of bad. And I just keep saying, get good at war, kid, or shut up.
Now, let's keep in mind, generally specific GS, the guy with the math background, he regularly on his show, generally specific, and sometimes on his subpar gaming channel, he complains about how people are invading the West. Well, if you're going to say something like that, GS, shucky darn, get better at what you do.
That's it. And you might come to my house, kick my ass, take everything I own, and the government might look the other way. And guess what? Now you got some generational wealth. Now
I'm going to digress here. Generational wealth. If someone took your home, it would be your wife's wealth. You don't have any generational wealth. You have inherited nothing from your forebears, and you are leaving nothing to your children. Your wife, I get your point. If they take your wife's house, your daughter might lose some generational wealth, but well, first you got to pay the damn house off, and you've disowned your son, so not much generational wealth there. So let's move on.
The difference between a man in the West is that we plant trees whose shade we might not ever enjoy, or build cathedrals that might take 2 lifetimes to complete and never sit in a mass.
So I guess he's reminding us that only in the West, only white people have created structures that take more than one generation to complete. And now that I think about it, I can't think of anything. It's all Hoover Dam. It's all Empire State Building. It's all World Trade Center. It's all Pentagon. Yeah, he's right. Every single major piece of construction that took more than one generation to build is definitely Western. Most of them even North American. So yeah, you're right about that, GS.
The difference between a man in the West is that we plant trees whose shade we might not ever enjoy, or build cathedrals that might take 2 lifetimes to complete and never sit in a mass. Right? There's a big difference between immediate gratification. You ever see that experiment with the kids? They give them 2 marshmallows. They say, if you wait 5 minutes, we'll double those marshmallows. And it's an IQ test, because if you can allay your need for immediate gratification and not just wolf down those marshmallows, you're going to keep doubling it every 5 minutes. And pretty soon you'll have enough marshmallows to sell. And then you become a rich business owner. You might corner the market on marshmallows if you have high enough IQ. But if you just want to...
Okay, so it took him a while to get there, but his response to the host saying it's okay to have pride in your group as long as you're not being mean to other groups. Then GS goes in with his interruptions and distractions and talks about how only the West has great structures, blah, blah, blah. And now he's talking about the elementary school marshmallow tests. The elementary school marshmallow test. That's his response to it's okay to have pride, but it's not okay to alienate people outside your group. Marshmallows. What is he comparing the marshmallows to? How does everyone else take it? What do you think?
Shovel marshmallows. in your
Are you really
mouth.
talking to me like a child right now?
No, I'm giving an example about the difference between the ability to allay immediate gratification.
Oh, so you saying that's what Africans are? Africans are the equivalent to kids compared to Europeans because we just want instant gratification?
No, dude, I said what I said. Why are you reframing? This is what I'm talking about. You jumble up my words and make it into something incoherently.
Marshmallows. Okay. Now, if you just heard the clip where he's going off about marshmallows and the reaction, you might be under the impression that no, he's talking about an elementary school experiment to see if kids have self-control to hold off if they want to avoid the instant gratification. But no. If you play it in context with the few minutes before, he is responding to the other gentleman's pointing out that racial nationalism, white nationalism, is not okay if they disclude others, if they make it harder on others. And GS is trying to paint it as people outside of GS's race, his ethnic nationalism, are acting like children who don't have the self-control to hold off on the marshmallows. By the way, the pictures you saw, all of those are from Asia, Asia Minor, Africa. None of them were from Europe or the United States or Canada. I don't know what he considers the West. Maybe he's counting Egypt as part of the West, or maybe the Asia Minor examples. But let's get back to it.
No, he's saying what were you applying
nothing
that
like
to?
what I originally said, dude.
Well, then what was that scenario applying to? Because I got the same thing that he said. You were applying that to Africans in Western society.
Bagel, a nice, tasty, round. I'm not even sure how to describe it. Invented for a Christian Polish princess, and a lot of people confused those parts of Europe with a type of Jew. And Jews picked it up because it was very similar to the breads that they're allowed to eat on certain religious occasions. Has developed in the year 2025 into a underhanded racial slur, ethnic slur by GS. When he says bagel, he means Jew. When he means Jew, he means someone who is inferior. He will try to retract that from time to time, say, oh no, I love the Jews. It's the synagogue of Satan I hate. The synagogue of Satan, as I've shown before in similar videos, are Christians that a early Christian was referring to before they had the term Christian, and they called everyone of the faith of Abraham. This is before Islam. This is before Christianity becomes an actual religion. This is before the Council of Nicaea. In fact, the reason it was added to the Bible is because of the Council of Nicaea's political attempt of what they were doing with the stories of the Christian text. Long story short, Christian churches in Asia Minor, which is currently Turkey, Christian churches were referred to by him as the synagogue of Satan. The reason I wasn't sure whether to consider Asia Minor the West, Turkey, it's right there on the point where Asia, Africa, and Europe meet. It's called, sometimes it's referred to as the Middle East. I might opine that that's a little more on the European side than the Asian side. Definitely more either Asian or European than African. But it's not what is Jewish, and bagels are not Jewish. But in his little mind, Todd has developed a way of underhanding, doing an ethnic slur bagel. Now, although he will try to retract that and say, I love the Jews, it's a synagogue of hate, and he has many times, many times, referred to how many times do the Jews get kicked out of what other countries. The common denominator, therefore, must be the Jews. and he has referenced facial features, bone structure, nose size to be proof or disproof that someone is Jewish. This comes right out of the Aryan Nazi textbooks. This is Todd, and because he has some new co-panelists, when that guy was talking, he's bagel. The others didn't realize that he is once again being a bigot. Shouldn't really call it racist because, yeah. Let's continue.
So I'll just go ahead and do it since y'all are dancing around it and GS didn't say it. I think one of the main problems with Africa is that in general their IQ is significantly lower than all of the other continents.
So
Okay, well, someone who's going to say something like that should know that Africa is the fucking continent.
Oh, here we go. He's triggered. You got a libtard.
So I want to hold on. I want to welcome Steelman to the panel.
Oh yeah.
What's up, bro? Go ahead.
Right on. Thanks. Good to see you.
Put some earbuds in there, dude. You're ruining his audio quality.
So do you want to speak to that point?
I don't know. Is my audio coming in weird or something?
Nah,
you got a little bit
bro.
of echo. Just a tiny bit of echo.
You got a little bit of echo, but I think people can understand what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I got the point you did too. Was I don't know what he was talking about the marshmallows for if he wasn't talking about Africa in the West, but if he wants to dodge that, then that's fine. I got on for there's a few different points I've been listening for a couple of hours. One of the things I noticed is that, well, like as an anthropologist, cultural anthropologist, we have cultures that we don't mess with, right? Like, for example, the Aboriginals in the Amazon. If you think it's so great to be in the industrial civilization or whatever, industrial era and all this shit, why don't we go down to the Aboriginal? That was one of the arguments that was made, was that we're actually
let them finish. Let them finish and you can respond.
That's the host, not GS. GS is not the host. So now the host is letting him know, let him finish, and then you can respond. Take your turn in order there, GS.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying one particular person. I was talking about maybe not you, but maybe somebody else on here. But the point is that if we're doing these Aboriginals a favor by going in and pulling them out of what you call, the sticks and stones and bringing them into what you think is this great industrial era, right? I'm saying, then do you really think that it's best for the Aboriginals and the Amazon jungle, for example, who are just living off of basic, they don't have any industry? Are you saying that they'd be better off getting jobs, working at Arby's, working in factories and shit like that?
I never said any of that stuff.
No, he was talking to GS. It was in response to GS, not answer.
Holy liberals, Batman. Can you just respond to what we say instead of rephrasing everything and jumbling up some word nonsense salad bar?
That's how he sounds when he feels threatened, that he's not physically threatened. He's threatened that he's going to lose his audience's perception because he's restreaming this to his own channel, and he's afraid that his audience will see through his nonsense. Let's continue.
Holy crap, dude. Engage in good faith.
I know it's hard for you to fucking understand a point, GS. I apologize. I'm not talking about marshmallows. Let me dumb it down for you. You talk about marshmallows. Does that make it easier for you to understand the fucking question?
Holy shit, dude. You're so disingenuous.
Are you just butthurt because you kicked me off your fucking panel? Because
dude, eat some meat, dude. You sound like you got low T. Eat some meat.
So I want to answer. I want to respond to the point that Anson brought up.
Now, I said I would observe and report the facts as I see them or research them. Testosterone levels do have a correlation with meats, especially red meats. More protein, the more protein something has it. There's some other things too. One thing you need is not just to consume 3 or 4 types of meat in one sitting, GS. You also got to get out of the house and do exercise. I don't mean picking up your dead chickens. I mean actually get out away from the house. Do stuff. You got to have a more active lifestyle. Okay.
Nobody wants to respond to what Stillman said, right? So to the point that generally speaking, the people on the African continent generally have a lower IQ than Europeans. You mean what exactly?
Well, no, just like
I never even said that.
No, I said that because you didn't say that, and now he can have the conversation with me because it's actually been said.
Jeez,
So
Mike, you guys
yes,
are
it is a statistical fact that Africa specifically has.
Can you mute your fucking mic, retard?
Steelman.
Jesus.
So in terms of IQ as it's been
Am I
studied,
guys hearing me
the
talk?
inhabitants.
Yeah, just while you're not speaking, that'd be great, man. Thank you.
Like, what's going on with my mic, dude? I'm not even talking.
Reverb.
Yeah,
Reverb.
I don't
you're
know.
echoing.
Why don't you?
But he digressed intentionally. I digressed to address his digression. Meat eating and low testosterone has nothing to do with the argument at hand. It's another distraction. It's a cool thing to say for your audience. This is what I don't like about debates on YouTube is people talk over each other and they try to shame each other. That was what they call an ad hominem. That was making Steelman, interesting name for when I'm talking about debates. Okay, Steelman, he's being accused of having low testosterone. It really has nothing to do with the arguments at hand. He's trying to bring it down to your level with the marshmallows because you still have not admitted that you were wrong there. You were comparing Africans to kids, as I have pointed out, and but you're not aware of it. I really don't think you're aware of it up here. As I've said many, many times, you will see something right in front of you, you will hear something, and you will perceive it completely different. Like park police are Capitol Police. Like the Jefferson Memorial is the Lincoln Building. And all the way back to that first discussion you had on the panel with Master Sergeant Retired. Master Sergeant Retired would say something, and he would hear something completely different. Let's continue.
Just
Why
while
do you
you're
need some
not
meat and
speaking,
figure it out.
when you do speak, turn it on. When
Yes,
you
you
don't.
think you're so fucking great because you fucking kill people for your shit.
He's gonna spurg. Oh, he's spurging over here. I'm spurging over here.
Let's
So
go.
it's a statistical fact that Africa as a continent has the lowest IQ in terms of inhabitants because it's been studied, right? And I made the very cogent point that
Okay, that's something else that both Brick Jonesy, he's the guy in the lower right-hand corner without the camera on, what he and GS do time and time again on many other people's panels. This panel belongs to this gentleman in the top left. He is the host here. And this guy has some issues with his audio, Stillman. But these two Chuck Nuggets, Brick Jonesy and Generally Specific, they think they own the panel, and they're barking orders at this guy about his audio. This guy has already opined that it's a little hard to hear, but it's fine. The channel owner, that's hard for Brick and GS to handle because of his, what do you call it? Melatonin. Because the channel owner is a black person, not a white person, these two fuck nuggets think they own the channel. Think they can bark orders at this guy. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. But while they're yelling and screaming at him as if they own the channel, their audiences, because he's restreaming this to the Generally Specific channel at the time, their audiences think, yeah, clean it up, Chuck Nugget. But the truth is, the host is fine with it. If you don't like the way the host runs the show, move on to another show.
that might have something to do with the fact that they have trouble managing their own affairs. And there are things that they can do to increase their IQ that are unrelated to genetics because it's not entirely a genetic issue. It has a lot to do with a lot of the other components and problems that they've had over several generations, many of which you pointed out, right? But it is also a very important factor. And that was the point that I was making.
I got you. So
probably from not eating enough meat.
So
and the guy over here brings the discussion back to where it belongs on topic. All that yelling about spurging and all that crap, that is meant as a distraction. GS will do this every time. If someone disagrees with him, someone disagrees with him on a panel, if someone disagrees with him from a chat, he will yell, he will scream, he will distract. he will get off the topic. The topic is, at this point, it's evolved to, does Africa have a lower IQ than other continents? Yes, they do. It's not because the inhabitants of Africa are less intelligent. It is because there is a less education system set up. They're less developed because, generally specific, fucktards like you have oppressed Africa, especially Western and South Africa. Western Africa and South Africa were discovered to have great mineral wealth, great agricultural wealth. So about the same time that Europe was interacting, you don't need the last 90 seconds of it. How you doing? Do I call you Ned or G2 or Greg? What should I call you? Are you muted? I think you're muted. Yeah, you're muted. Your mouth's moving, but I can't hear you. You see, you're not muted on this end, so you're muted on your end. Can you hear me? Okay, there's something wrong with your audio. You're not coming through. Audience, can you hear Ned, Greg, G2?
Hang on a second.
Oh, there you are. I hear you now.
There he is.
All right.
So this was a great one, huh?
It was an interesting 8 minutes, and someone said it was a couple 3 hours.
It was 3 hours, yeah.
3 hours. Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna cover the whole 3. Then I saw you were, so I figured I'd jump on here.
I hope I didn't steal your thunder. You're welcome to use Indians.
Plenty of thunder for everybody when it comes to
yeah, that's true. That's true. 3 hours. I'm sure there's another 8 or 10 minutes you can cover.
The thunder from down under.
We have a must be either for public safety or Ned G2. We have a much larger audience than usual. We have 18. We're usually about 3 or 4. Oh, we just lost 5. Okay, I'm going to shut up about the audience.
Oh no.
So how you doing?
Yeah, that always happens, right? You say something about the audience and it just disintegrates on you.
Finkel, I sent you something to your phone. I don't know if you can transfer it to play it or not. I'm not on my computer, so I couldn't share screen.
All right.
It's just a 2-minute clip.
All right.
Speaking of Todd, I sent you that.
Is this a file or is it a link?
That is a file.
Ooh, I might have. Let me see if I can email it.
It's only 2 minutes and it's compact, so it should send to your whatever device you want it to real easy, like within less than a minute.
All right, if I go to...
And the reason I'm sending that to you is because a lot of people didn't get to see what Todd saw yesterday.
All right, the
other side of
no, I recorded that for public safety because we knew he was going to do something stupid. I don't know if he did anything illegal, but he surely did some stupid stuff.
Yeah. What the audience didn't see is what Todd did see. So Todd was in the Zoom call, and in the Zoom call, Todd saw that my lawyer, being present for court, was also in a surgical chair, literally waiting to be stitched back up after they found cancer in his head. And he still made it to court. And Todd's response was to put a maxi pad on his head and accuse Tom of avoiding court.
Oh. Very interesting, and I do want to cover that. But first, I think G2 came up to discuss the 30 minutes of time waste I just did.
Yeah, and I wanted to stick with that first. I'll just send you that so when we shift to that.
I am downloading it now, so we'll address that after G2 wants to address anything. Did I get anything wrong, G2?
No, I think you got it right. I mean, the Egyptians did make bagels before anybody ever, like during the
before the polls did?
Before the polls, yeah.
Oh wow! Okay.
A form of it. it's a form of bagel. That's where the idea came from anyway. But that was anyway, that's tradition during captivity, as we got it from the
Oh, okay. All right.
so that's just a little tradition. I don't know if it's how
I-
true it is. I mean, the polls.
When I
And-
Googled it, there were a few different stories, but the most convincing one to me was the Polish princess. But
quite possible, and a lot of the diaspora came from there anyway.
but to be used as a racial or an ethnic slur, I shouldn't say racial.
Yeah, it dates back to the 50s, actually.
That surprised me when you popped that up. Where was that? A while ago. Yeah, you said 1950 something.
Yeah. So
I didn't even know what a bagel was until much more recently.
So I wanted to add what my personal knowledge is about the bagel thing. Bagels are delicious. I can't believe anyone would have problems with bagels and want to exile bagels. Like, what? Why would you want to take away such an awesome breakfast source or lunch source?
Yeah, I'm sure Todd or nobody else has a problem with actually eating the thing that looks like a donut, but it's not a donut. It's made of similar bread as the big pretzels. I think their issue is they take stuff from white supremacist sources like Tim Pool, like Nazis, like racists of the 50s, and they take that as the gospel, not Christian gospel.
yeah, and they think they can use it as coded language, just like he was.
When am I going to learn that I can't be sarcastic very well?
No. Finkel was being sarcastic back.
Oh, was he? See, I got lost.
Yeah. I am a very sarcastic, facetious, twisted individial, and I have
it's just more like British comedy, dry sarcasm is what.
Okay.
kind of like me, You know what? I think I'm gonna take on a new nickname. I've let the Ben Stein stuff bother me that Todd puts on me, so I think I'll just be Ben Stein from now on the dry eyes.
Okay.
You could do that. Dry eyes. Yeah. I can't remember the commercial, but red eyes, dry eyes. You need clear eyes.
I knew the name Ben Stein sounded familiar. I just connected it together in my head. He's the Ferris Bueller professor. Anyone? Bueller?
Yeah. And he was also one of Nixon's economists.
Yeah.
Was he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a very, very good economist. So anyway, back to Todd. Back to unreality.
I was going to say unreality.
Yeah, that he was really, really trying to take over the show, as per usual. Two, just extremely racist. Or I like you say, Finkel bigoted. Because
bigoted is probably more accurate.
So on my show the other day, we were listening to a professor from Princeton, and she was saying that the Nazis had racialized religion when they went after the Jews. They made it made us a religion, right? So
as I understand it, the Nazis of not the current neo-fascists, but the Nazis of German fame, 1930s and 40s, they went to great lengths to prove genetic differences, genetic inferiorities.
Yeah, it's kind of like what is it? A word that somebody uses all the time. The phrenology.
Yeah, they actually made laws out of it during Hitler's conquests. They were making laws out of the bloodlines.
Well, it's not. No, phrenology is the study of the shape of the skull, where they would say the shape of Jews' skulls made it. Yeah, the cheeks, the bag where you have the knot or not have the knot.
And GS will actually use that as
Yes.
scientific proof. It's like, man, that was
Disproven.
That was 3/4 of a century ago. It's time to get modernized with your theories there, GS.
It was made famous in by Leonardo DiCaprio in what was the movie?
Da Vinci Code.
No, with Jamie Foxx, where Leonardo was the slaver.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that movie? Help. Somebody help. AVOP.
Somebody will know it.
I don't know it.
Yeah. It was a Tarantino movie.
Oh.
I'm outdated with my movies. The last movie I saw was Springtime.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Django.
Django Unchained. Yeah.
Thank you, Angel Gamer. And Dick Bad. Okay. A lot of the audience knows the answer. I don't know the answer. Okay. Well, I mean, I do now. I knew all along. Yeah, I knew all along.
Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah.
And for those of you who like to catch me in lies, that wasn't a lie. That was a joke. There's a difference.
Dry humor, dry eyes.
Yeah. And then the whole IQ thing was the IQ has been another debunked thing.
Yeah.
For a better part of 20 years. I mean, it's a tool, but it's not this be all end all that they want to make it to be.
Right. I correct me if I'm wrong. I believe when you take a IQ test or a vocational test or ASVAB, they're testing your ability to have been taught something and retain it.
Exactly.
Math, reading comprehension. It's not a reasoning test. Well, some vocabulary is, but IQ test is not. Here's some information. What do you do with it? And how you can measure that against people who live in an undeveloped country who have never been taught anything. How can you measure that to make them sound less human?
Or that they're dumb. It doesn't make you dumb. I mean, Washington didn't graduate high school. He wasn't dumb. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of. First of all, the reality of the situation is Todd played a video game like one of those. Can you maneuver the blocks? And it alleged that it scored him an IQ at the end of it. So he thinks that that his IQ is representative due to a game on his phone, I'm sure, and now he wants to run around, saying everybody's low IQ, and as if that has some kind of factor in the equation to world politics.
I do believe he has used the fact that he qualified to be a 19 Delta, which no longer exists. That means he's got a high IQ or a high ASVAB score.
Well, he's still on the ASVAB as a. He kind of backstepped it the other day.
Did he?
Yeah, he said it's more of a vocational test, so I think he's finally getting tired of the Kiwi. I can't see you on my side, so you must have me blocked. But
it might be that I have two. I'm posting the two channels, Finkel and the Finkel Dunking Show.
Okay.
I keep telling myself I'm going to stop doing that. This is the kind of thing I'd want on the Finkel Dunking Show, but I don't get any audience over there. In fact, if Todd sees this, he'll very clearly point out, oh, look at that. He's only got 2 people, although we have 22 people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But what else was there that the IQ thing? Oh, he made clear that he was a very big fan of apartheid Africa. That apartheid was good for South Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, he's I don't know if he's corrected himself recently, but I do remember in the last couple of weeks he was talking about all this white genocide in South Africa, so horrible that these thousands and thousands of white South Africans are being so brutally oppressed that only 50, it was less than 60, only 58, 50, I forget the number, accepted Trump's refugee status.
68 were flown here.
58, yeah, or 60.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it was
very small
under
number.
the guise of asylum.
Yeah.
When the math, proves that the target is farming or money, it has nothing to do with skin color. There's nothing to support that.
5 of the last 6 murders were black farmers.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did hear that the victims.
That was last 3 months, I think.
If you break down the victims ethnically, it's much greater against the black community than it is the white community.
They'll have an argument for that. They'll say, well, it's because there's so many more black people there. But here's the facts. People don't understand history. And the more you research the history, the more you'll understand about what's going on today everywhere in the world. And I'm severely lacking that, worldly knowledge myself. But I have been studying on the current events. I've been refreshing and learning more about the history of these particular cases. When it comes to Africa, I mean, look back at the roots, like you can see why they're sort of still at war, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, the Kiwi brought up a good point about the Belgians, and it's on up there. The Belgians and in their colonization, and I don't know if they were talking about. Yeah, there you go. Talking about I think 23 million Africans were killed during that period because Europe was so hungry for the rubber trees and the railroad going through.
Europe was hungry, period. Europe was so world hungry, and it's disgusting what all they spread. It's like an infection that they spread across the world.
Yeah.
They're leaving their little territory was probably the most evil thing that ever happened, in history. And I am talking about history. I don't think today's people represent that necessarily, but that ideology was bad. Like we all know, Hitler bad. The war between North and South bad. Like slavery bad. Like we know all these things, and we just don't want to apply them to, the ideology that's being pushed today. Although we need to.
Because it's not bad for them at this point.
It's bad for the world. It's bad for humanity. It's bad for, relationships in society.
Oppression, genocide, all that stuff is bad. And Todd and people of his ilk will complain that the white guy is the victim.
Right.
But let's look at the genocides of the world. In Nazi Germany, genocided Jews. In the early stages of American history, genocided Native Americans. And let's take another one, Rwanda. Africans genociding Africans.
Yep.
Well, let's look back. Let's look back at Africa real quick, because
I was
kind of getting somewhere with that.
When that stuff was going on in Rwanda, the European countries, NATO, the UN, the United States, they debated it. They didn't do anything about it, which is the same as when we were doing the genocide of the Native Americans. No one did anything about it. And no one did anything about the Nazi genocide of Jewish people for a while, until enough had been done and that the world had enough with. I forgot my point in that, but when Africans are genociding Africans and we debate about it for a decade and nothing's ever done about it, how can you say the white guy is being victimized?
The white guy started it.
Yeah,
the white guy started it. So look at the history of Africa, and what you will see is that Africa was also invaded by Europeans. And when they were invaded, what is the first thing we know about what the whites did? I'm sorry, not whites, that's an ideology. What the European bloodline did when they found Africans? We all know the answer. They turned them into slaves.
Well,
or rape.
actually, see, this is where the dehumanization of a different people come into effect. There's a much longer intercultural interaction between East Africa, Ethiopia, Egypt,
Sure.
Djibouti, with Europeans, with a lot less trouble. But on West Africa, where you had rubber trees, diamonds, good agriculture, where something of value became noticeable to the Europeans, then they dehumanized basically similar genetics in Western Africa, then they were getting along fine with in Eastern Africa. And that's where all this dehumanization comes from, is you have something that we want. And to justify taking it, we're gonna make it look like you're less of a human, which is what we did to the Native Americans, us and Canada, not just the United States. Canada did it too.
Well,
Stalin,
I would suggest that for the first 100 and some years, they fought to not be slavery. And then for the next 100 years, they started turning that fight into fixing their economy.
Yeah, but we also have a multicultural country, and we can't go back and say, no, we only want it to be white.
I'm going to push back on Ariel. He says every race has done something evil. The Finkel race has never done anything evil. I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's not a lie. It's a joke.
Yeah, there's been evil everywhere, but I mean, I'm just talking about a specific point in history.
Yeah.
And during that point, it was barbaric. It was ruthless. There were civilized culture within, which created a whole civil war in America. But the ideology that you still see lingering today, which made it all the way into presidency, it comes from a deep-rooted barbaric ideology. It's
called greed
and slavery, and which slavery revolves around greed, because obviously that was for labor.
The first Africans in the northern part of the New World were in the Virginia colonies. Is it Roanoke, or I can't remember which one. One of the colonies in Virginia. A shipwreck occurred, and on that ship were some African slaves. And the governor of that colony was very opposed to slavery, but he realized he could help his colony by keeping these people enslaved, and that's what he did.
That was a lot of politicians. While that whole transition was happening, politicians knew that they weren't going to collect all the constituents necessary to obtain their votes if they completely went against slavery. That was even, that was practiced well after the Civil War. There were still politicians practicing the ideology of slavery's not bad, and gathering votes.
Weasel asked, what is the meaning of life? The answer is 42.
Absolutely. Doug Adams.
Yeah. Oh, well, what was that?
Wrong button. Douglas Adams, great author.
Oh, is he the guy that wrote Hitchhiker?
Yeah, he also used to write for Monty Python.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That fits.
I used to love Monty Python.
Do you guys know how to fly? It's really easy. You just throw yourself at the ground and miss.
Dry eyes, watery eyes.
All right. I guess we can chapterize the debate and some of the ethnic problems. Your video is downloaded now. Do you want me to share it, or do we want to keep discussing debates?
Well, if you wanted to switch subjects, because it will, Todd will still be the focal point, but it will change the subject.
Okay. Subject change to Todd. It's, no matter what, it's all about Todd. I got to stop making it, but we'll do this.
I think he likes that. He likes that he's getting.
He does like the attention. That's true. Okay,
This let me go ahead and let you know what you're watching here. So this is what Todd was seeing while he was live. So he was watching my lawyer sitting in this surgical chair at a doctor's office waiting to be stitched up. And he heard my lawyer say, "I'm present. I don't know how mentally present I can truly be for this hearing, but I am literally sitting on the couch, Your Honor, with a hole in my head because they found cancer." And, so this is what Todd was watching, and then you'll see his response.
I'd like to comment on something I saw yesterday. When Todd poked fun at this, he put a pad, a woman's sanitary pad, on his head, and he called it a tampon. Todd has been married to a member of the opposite gender for 35 years. He doesn't know the difference between a tampon and a pad.
Shit, Todd, I just caught on to that.
Damn it. You pay more attention to your significant other, Todd. And while he was wearing this pad, he kept stroking it. I'm like, Todd, what are you doing? Petting your pussy? I'm sorry. All right, I'm going to push play.
I'm on a surgical couch. I came in for surgery this morning. I thought it was going to be simple. It turns out I've had to have 4 surgeries, and that's where I've had it. So I'm really conditioned to really participate meaningfully in this conference today, and I apologize for the inconvenience, but
I'll note, we couldn't see this, but when Todd was explaining it, he was really trashing this guy's medical situation. What a piece of shit.
Right.
Todd.
It's skin cancer, and they had to keep going in to get it all out.
Your Honor, I just had surgery on my forehead, so that's why I picked the very morning that I had court, the very day. I got vaginitis on my.
Wow. So when you're dealing with something like cancer, you're supposed to get treated around other schedules. If I had cancer, that would be my primary. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, the guy's an attorney. He's at court every day. That's his job. So one day,
right,
he had to have surgery, emergency surgery, and he was like Todd's whole premise is, to allege that the guy's missing court. He didn't miss court. You're watching him at court. We were at court by Zoom. My lawyer was present. He was just saying, I can't offer any valid argument in this hearing if it's necessary because this is my situation. Todd's trying to make it out like a status conference was avoided. Todd does not understand court of law. And if he does, he's an asshole. And he's trying to make everyone else be, ignorant. But a status conference...
Right.
A status conference is just an update for the judge. It's when the attorneys update the judge on where we're at with the case. So there's not argument. There's not, like we already knew what we were doing when we went to this Zoom hearing, like months before it even happened. It was literally just going in there to tell the judge, hey, we're working on scheduling a mediator, and that's where we're at, Your Honor. And everybody makes dates for the next scheduling. That's all it was. But Todd had his audience convinced that me and Tiffany were going to be leaving in handcuffs, and that he wanted to show up to try to intimidate us at our hearing. You know what I mean? Like like in his childish, retarded mind, he's upset.
Playing with his wife. Very,
he's upset because court's happening, like it's normal court proceedings, and and it's not going so bad for us like he wanted it to be. So, I mean,
his video was, I forget the name of it, but he was looking for a verdict. The word verdict was in there. And full disclosure to the audience, for public safety, told me a day or two before that it wasn't a court. It was, what'd you call it? A conference. There's not going to be a judgment made. He's looking for a verdict. He wants to see you dragged off in handcuffs, which is, I don't know how it's going to be done on a Zoom.
Well, not only that, but
Put
that's
your hands to
fine.
the
But he
camera.
should know that that only happens at the end of a jury trial, and then there's appeal process. So, like, you know, he can sit there and pray for it all he wants. It doesn't do any good until the process plays out.
He had a very similar reaction to Kaiser, I want to say about a year ago. You had a court hearing and something got delayed in it. And Kaiser, it was one of the times Kaiser rage quit his videos. Like, he was really pissed off that he didn't get to see you marched off in handcuffs. By the way, out there is a video of Kaiser being put in handcuffs. I keep interrupting. I'm going to push play. Oh, I see two people down below I haven't seen in a while. All right.
On my head. Apparently. Yeah, I don't think I can meaningfully participate in this. That's good. Yeah, it's listen. It might be skin cancer. They've had to dig into it 4 times. Four times.
Yeah, Todd, let's make
I should
fun
get
of a
some
medical
ketchup on it
situation.
right here. Hope my hair's not in it. The nurse got my hair in it. Oh, the nurse got my hair in it. They're talking about potential mediation. All right. Yeah, so I'm Thomas Fade, and I'm chronically at the doctor for all of my hearings or any kind of upcoming trials. So things are constantly having to be rescheduled. Yeah.
Breaking news, a freak snowstorm. Oh, this is his community post. Okay.
Well, this ties the party that is actually responsible for what's going on Todd's channel.
Yep, he's still desperately wanting JJ's attention.
There it is. That guy.
I'm on a surgical couch.
I just blew something. Okay. Yeah.
That was the end of it.
Yeah. The only civilian I've ever known to look like his head got crunched in a Bradley cupola. All right.
I guess I'm having a real hard time with the manners of a person who just learns that a person has been diagnosed with cancer and immediately jumps to what? Childish nonsense with a maxi pad?
Yeah. Not well, panty liner. There's pads, there's panty liners, there's something his wife probably doesn't use anymore. Tampons. Yeah, tampons are people who actually menstruate. I don't think, even though he married her very, 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 very young, I don't think she's still using tampons. She may be, I don't know. But he called that thing a tampon. It's clearly not a tampon. Maybe he should use tampons. I don't know. But yeah, I caught that he was stroking it. Even when he wasn't making fun, he was stroking it like, oh.
Well, now he didn't. I noticed, in the recording that he didn't approach his audience and say, "Well, unfortunately, Mr. Clay has been diagnosed with cancer and is having surgery." Nothing like that.
Yeah.
And that's what he knew. He knew that. He's the one that saw the first part of the video we just watched. That was what he saw.
Yeah.
And that was all that happened that was all the participation that Tom had. And that was what Todd was going off of, was a man in a surgical chair who said, "I'm here. I'm under the knife. I'm waiting to be stitched up. And, I'm sorry, the timing is bad, but I'm here. Then we can go on." He just was asking the judge not to have any, argument or anything that he would need to be mentally present for.
Clarification for Ronnie Rebel. The video you see with JJ and Amber, the overpaid nurse. That's old video. On the top side with the panty liner on the forehead, on the side of the head, that's yesterday. I don't think JJ was with GS yesterday. In fact, I think JJ has disowned GS.
No,
because even JJ's realized.
Nope. They're still
in coop.
Scarborough is pulling the strings.
That doesn't surprise me.
And the reason I put that video at the bottom for reference is so that you can see that he participates as
they've had to dig into it 4 times.
Yeah.
A person that participates with Todd, with that YouTube channel.
You're reminding audiences that at JJ Scarborough 2402 is still in GS's life, even though not directly. He'll use GS to get certain kinds of information out, like inviting him to a Zoom that has nothing to do with GS, so the GS can report on it, just like his old, now in jail buddy, Michael Kaiser.
I think you're forgetting something, Mr. Finkel.
I forget a lot of stuff. I'm an old man. I forget stuff.
You're forgetting that every single court hearing that Todd uses his YouTube channel to interfere with, that he all of a sudden, a couple of days to the day before, always receives a substantial amount of monetary gifting. And this time he published photographs of the truckload of cinder blocks and all of and he said he got $100 and some that he was able, $200 that he was able to spend at Costco or something like that.
Thank you, JJ.
Yeah, because every time there's a court hearing, he got a TV one time that he wore the packaging from to court. Yeah. He got a new chair, a new microphone at another court date. I mean, listen, I understand how much money YouTube brings in based on views, the memberships, like all of the qualifications for monetization.
Yeah.
Todd's not making enough money to much less contribute to his own household.
Yeah.
He's not making big screen TV, truckloads of gardening product money. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's claiming that he's getting this from his YouTube channel. That's not true. His YouTube progress from a monetary standpoint, based on his views, his memberships, his everything that YouTube pays for, he's bringing in less than $250 a month. That's not enough.
Meanwhile, the household in Meade County, containing one jailer and one nurse, gets well more money than they actually earn.
Well, and they had it's been shut down now, but that couple.
I can say shit that maybe you can't. I don't know what you can say.
Oh, I can say it.
Remember your 5th and 6th Amendments. Okay, all right.
No, I can say it. It's public. It's public information. They had that couple had a private business going for security where they were contracting with their own governments. So not only was all of the jail's resources for the medical being pumped into the girlfriend's pocket, not only is there no expenses on the head jailer's behalf because he moved into said girl's house, but they also were making money on a side contract from a business that got dissolved when we brought light to it, So that's a lot of money they're bringing in, on top of his base pay for being the jailer.
Well, I hope for Todd's sakes, if he's buying properties in Georgia, it's investment properties, because if he has any intention of living there, he won't last very long. Now, Chris, keep in mind your 5th and 6th Amendment rights. Don't answer if you don't want to. But I'm curious, from watching yesterday's events, there was a mention of a restraining order. Was said restraining order taken out before the hearing, during the hearing, or after the hearing? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. But if you can,
there were two restraining order situations mentioned. One is recent, fairly recent. Yes, before this hearing, for sure. Like within like weeks before, I filed a restraining order on Todd. And then the other discussion pertaining to a restraining order was that me and Tiffany filed a restraining order on Scarborough way before he pressed charges on us.
Okay. The one on Todd seemed to be unaware as of yesterday.
Maybe he is unaware. The legal process is super slow. And he's in another state. So, there's that state line crossing. I don't know what the government's doing. You know what I'm saying? I do know that the protection order processes need to be a lot more better executed, because that's the only line of protection that we civilians have in the United States, because all governments made the policies in their police departments to try to always get that civil piece of paper done before they execute on any cases involving stalking or harassment. So basically they're saying, you got to do the civil process first and get that piece of paper to show us, because they're too lazy to actually utilize the resources that they have available to them on our tax money. They're too lazy to establish probable cause in those cases. They call it a civil matter, even though it's probably not. Like 9 times out of 10, the police can establish the state laws out of the available, whether you got video or telecommunications recorded, or maybe, an online discussion or something like that. Like, they have it, they could do it, but instead their policy is that, well, you go to civil court and get the judge through the civil process that could take years.
Yeah.
You do that and then give us the piece of paper and then we'll act on it. Like, we're going to wait for that though.
Okay.
And that's very, very dangerous and slow.
For the chats, again, I apologize. I'm publishing to 2 channels, and you may not see each other in your respective chat. I don't usually like the lower right-hand corner where you can see the chat separate from the chat. I don't know if I explained that right, but I did that so if you are in the wrong channel, you can see what the other people are saying. But yeah, by all means, go back and forth between channels, or just keep an eye on that. Yeah, I get sidetracked easily.
So yeah, I did file a restraining order on Todd. I mean, he's made multiple threats on my life. He's been interfering in my court proceedings. Like, the dude is trying to scare us to not go to court. Here's one of the things. So, like, yeah, the judge is aware of this stuff, and they're trying to make it where the least of this nonsense, the better, right? And I mean, there is stuff that I won't talk about behind the scenes, but for the most part, I think it's all pretty obvious. Court proceedings are supposed to be safe. And these things are being done because like I know everybody thinks about, they hear people like Todd and Kaiser and Ruff talk about me and Tiffany, and they believe that nonsense. But the reality is that we're not bringing Tiffany's little boy to be in the presence of these people. And sometimes he would have to come with us. And, that's not now Tiffany and I have been vulnerable in going to these hearings where people were wearing guns and chasing us in the past. We've heard a lot of nonsense that a child shouldn't hear about his mother. All these things, like, we've dealt with it in the past, but we're not willing to deal with all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I understand. I'm curious, this restraining order, that's physical, or if say you were on a YouTube panel and he came up, would that violate the restraining order?
Well, that would depend on what all the judge approves in the argument, but I would, obviously I'm going to be requesting that there be no talk about me anywhere. I just want him to get like I've told him 1,000 times. I just want him to get the fuck out of our life.
Right. And he's not like in my basement waiting to come up or anything. I was just curious if he did show up. Is there any kind of legal restriction from you both being on the same panel? He doesn't have the balls to come up here, so we probably don't have to worry about that. But
no, and if there were a restriction, I'm the one that filed, so it would be on him. It would be another dumb move on his part.
Okay. All right.
Especially if he's been served.
Maybe if we'll stop talking about that fool, he will go away. That is a fair point. I have many times resolved to just stop paying attention to him. One of the problems is he's very fun to watch be stupid, and people keep texting me, emailing me, hey, GS is talking about you. Hey, GS made this mention about you. Hey, GS called you a grifter. I'm like, what? A grifter?
And my reasons are different. You know, my reasons are because like if you're paying somebody to do a task, they're going to do the task for the money. And what I'm dealing with is that there is a public official who is paying this man to do a task. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if I talk about him or not. He's still going to do it for the money. So, you know, we've tested that.
Kiwi's got a good point. From our perspective, you have a different perspective, definitely. I'm gonna wrap this up. I've got about 8 or 10 minute video I'm going to close with in honor of June, Gay Pride Month. So I'm going to let this play, and then I'm going to close shop, and I'll watch the chat as it plays.
As always, I appreciate it.
My pleasure. By the way, this is a town you may know from TV called Mayberry. It's actually Mount Airy, North Carolina.
Been carrying this weight since I was 16. Small town secrets got me feeling so mean. Mount Airy streets where I learned to hide. East swag on my chest, but I'm broken inside. Mama raised me right, but she don't really know about the battles I fight when the sun gets low. Pride month came around and I felt that fear. Couldn't show my colors in a town this clear. Every Sunday service got me praying for change, but the man that I love got me feeling so strange.
Nah, I mean, Chris, man, he's just your typical piece of shit fucking coward behind the camera. All he does and will do is fucking beat on women and try to molest kids because he's a piece of fucking shit. And next time I see that motherfucker, I'm gonna break his fucking neck and shit down him. And hopefully,
allegedly Minecraft. Now that's how you gotta walk that back.
Alone. You've been my best friend since we was kids. Now I'm spilling all the truth that I always hear. Rainbow flag in my drawer, but I keep it tucked. Small town whispers got me feeling so stuck. Just swag represents what they don't understand. The courage that it takes just to be your own man. You the only one I trust with this confession. All these years of pain, boy, it's been my obsession. Church bells ringing, but I ain't going in. Cause they preach about love, and they call it a sin. Mount Airy born, but I dream of escape. Where love is just love, not some twisted mistake. Tell you all my secrets, hope you're still my friend. Cause the silence killing me, need this pain to end. Tell me why I gotta choose between my heart and home. Tell me why I gotta feel so damn alone. This is who I am. Take it or you don't. Love me for my truth or just leave me alone. Drove past Mayberry.
Oh, something, brother. Nah, I mean, Chris, man, he's just your typical piece of shit fucking coward behind the camera. All he does and will do is fucking beat on women and try to molest kids because he's a piece of fucking shit. And next time I see that motherfucker, I'm gonna break his fucking neck and shit down him. And hopefully,
Minecraft. Allegedly Minecraft. Now that's how you gotta walk that back.
For my truth or just leave me alone. Just is who I am. Take it or you're gone. Small town boy with a voice that's loud. G-swag on my back as I walk away proud.
Oh, something, brother.
Oh, let me tell you something.
No, I mean, Chris, man, he's just your typical piece of shit fucking coward behind the camera. All he does and will do is fucking beat on women and try to molest kids because he's a piece of fucking shit. And next time I see that motherfucker, I'm gonna break his fucking neck and shit down him. And hopefully,
Allegedly Minecraft. Now that you got to walk that back.
Oh, something, brother.
Oh, let me tell you something.
No, I mean, Chris, man, he's just your typical piece of shit fucking coward behind the camera. All he does and will do is fucking beat on women and try to molest kids because he's a piece of fucking shit. And next time I see that motherfucker, I'm gonna break his fucking neck and shit down it. And hopefully,
Minecraft. Allegedly Minecraft. Now that you gotta walk that back.
It's so weird hearing statements like that from people that I have nothing to do with. Like, I have no idea who that guy is. Are you muted?
I'm muted. Wherever you are, G-Swag, let your freak flag fly. I don't know much about him either, except he runs a Facebook-based he sells shit like this, but not with this sentiment on Facebook. And he lives in what we know from the Andy Griffith Show as Mayberry. Its official name is Mount Airy, North Carolina. It's kind of hard to get information because he doesn't. I mean, he's very secluded. In fact, I never saw his face on YouTube. His avatar's there all the time. But it's there on Facebook. It's called GE Swag Shop. He likes to reference 3:16, which I believe is John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. But I'll bet he doesn't even understand what John 3:16 is.
Well, I traced him back to his actual Facebook.
Okay, same thing.
Well, he had been making threats. You know, he was one of the people that were sending threats, and I figured out the GE Swag thing first due to the email that he was using, or the I think it was the icon, and then I found his actual Facebook. So I messaged him to say, you know, who in your group is making these threats, and he went off on me. So it was obviously him. And then
hey, Jay. Can't do that, Jay.
Yeah. And then you get what we have here today, which is just crazy.
Now I get it. His good buddy, generally specific, often refers to people as J with a G. Is there a connection there? I mean,
well, the last name being Golding starts with a G. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, he's talking about gay out of J.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know.
I thought I heard a clip where I think Todd asked him if he was gay, and he said he pleads the fifth or something like that. I mean, look, I don't care if somebody's gay. I think that he would be a much better human if he would just come out and be open about it.
Embrace it, yeah.
Right. And maybe he wouldn't be so unnecessarily angry at strangers, you know, making those types of allegations out of clear blue sky.
How you doing, Ducks? Why panel and debate? That's a new name to me, unless I have a really bad memory. But not much. I'm gonna call it a day. Holy shoot! It's 1:15, 1:14 already.
Yeah, I have a job to complete by 3, so I'm glad you're wrapping up.
You better get on it. And
yes, sir.
G2, Ned, wherever you went, thanks for coming up earlier. What I just got here. Well, that's a good thing about these live stream, Dustin. You can rewind and watch. Yes, I do stink. I'm going to take a shower now. Cheerio, guys.
Love y'all.
All right.